Welcome to 50 Shades of Shuttle with Ida Levine.
Just make mine a rooibos, man. Yeah, it's in the blick in the cupboard. It says Red Bush on it. It's from Sainsburgers. Thanks, man. Oh, hi, Sis. How are you, my dear? You okay? Cecil, look. Look. I'm ready for you. Aren't you proud of me? Cecil! Aren't you proud of me? Quite right. Oh, there's a mislook bliksem today. What's up with you? Anyway, right, let's get on. Hello, how's it everybody? And welcome to episode 19 of Ida Levine's 50 Shades of Shuttle, your social media vaccine against the lockdown doldrums. Now, with new rules about social distancing coming out every week, a lot of you have been asking, Ada, when will it be safe for me to go back to the roller disco? So this week, I shall be taking a long, hard look at the official coronavirus advice and telling you what's what and who's who in the karoo. Now, for starters, it's important to know that the virus behaves very differently depending on which country you live in. So, for instance, what's safe in England may not be safe in Scotland. And what's safe in Scotland probably isn't even legal in South Africa. That's because the virus mutates every time it approaches a border, like Priti Patel's asylum policy. So, most of my advice is directed at my loyal fans and listeners here in England. But even here, the rules change from place to place and person to person as well. For instance, Boris Johnson thinks he has superpowers, and anyone who is in contact with him is automatically immune. So they don't need to follow the guidelines and can pretty much do whatever they like. Nevertheless, he is still in charge of telling the rest of us what we can or cannot do to stay safe, which he does at every opportunity. But it's good that he puts so much effort in because it does change every day, or sometimes even every hour. And he keeps telling us we have an oven-ready test and trace system. You know, if only we could find a microwave big enough to put it in so that it gets cooked. And it's all made a little bit more complicated by the virus's R number. Now that's R, not R, as in how many likes it gets on Instagram. No, the R number is the reproduction number, which is a measure of how frequently it reproduces. So, for example, Boris's reproduction number would be 6 or 7 or maybe 8, but definitely less than 10. Whereas my very good friend Kerry has a reproduction number of exactly 1. So she is far, far less toxic than Boris. Of course, Jacob Zuma's reproduction number is so large, he is the father of an entire nation. He's like Moses is to the Jews. But I digress. Where was I? Oh yes, now that the schools have gone back, you really shouldn't be worried about your children. We are all following the science, and Boris's chief medicinal officer himself has said that it's quite unlikely that they will die. The level of COVID in each school has been predicted by an algorithm based on their levels over the last 3 years, and they are very low. And that's because viruses is spread by a small droplet of water that we like to call an aerosol. Now, children have tiny aerosols, and they are much nearer the ground, which is why they can't spread the virus so far. It's much more important to avoid those big aerosols you bump into in the street. That's why you should keep a social distance of 1 meter or 2 meters away from them at all time, as opposed to indoors where it's better to keep clear by 2 meters or 1 meter. That's the only way to deal with those aerosols. Of course, I do feel sorry for the Americans. They have the highest level of infection in the world, and it's all down to Donald Trump's policies. So you could say that he is acting like a massive aerosol. So now that the infection rate in England are higher than at any time since the end of May, here is the government's advice. Now, it is time for everybody to go back to school and to work, unless you have fun at work with more than 6 people, in which case you must stay at home. You should wear a mask in any public building, except, of course, in a restaurant, which is why the government has spent so much money encouraging us to dine out. Although, you mustn't actually eat anything when you are there, because we all have to lose weight to fight the virus. And finally, use a hand sanitizer wherever you can to maintain a good personal sanity at all times. Well, I hope that has cleared some things up for you. I will bring you an update in a few weeks' time when the signs will be all different again. Meanwhile, it's time for me to say goodbye from my fully serviced, security protected, gated residence here in Berkhamsted Garden suburbs in Hertfordshire. I will see you next week for episode 20 of Ida Levin's 50 Shades of Scheitel, when I shall be showing you how to deal equally with fine and flat or dry and damaged hair with 2 clicks of the fingers. There. Cecil, my dear, put down the pizza boy. It's not that kind of tip he was after. Put him down. There we go. Honest to God. Anyway, goodbye.